The canyon opened suddenly, as if the desert had split its own ribs to reveal something alive inside. Jake Calder slowed his horse, dust still clinging to his boots, his senses tightening at the sound that didn't belong out. Here, water falling hard and constant. In this country, water meant danger or salvation, sometimes both. He dismounted and led the horse forward, rifle loose in his hand, eyes scanning the red stone walls darkened by mist. The waterfall appeared like a silver veil roaring down into a hidden pool. Jake stepped closer, the air cooling against his sunburned skin, when a voice cut through the thunder, soft, shaken and unmistakably human. "Cowboy, don't look." His body stiffened before his mind caught up. He turned away at once, heart thudding louder than the water. The voice came again, closer this time, carrying a mix of fear and command that stopped him cold. "My dress is gone," the woman whispered. "The river took it." Jake swallowed, lifting his hat and pressing it to his chest, staring hard at the canyon wall. "I ain't here to shame anyone," he said, keeping his voice low and steady. "I'll stand like this till you say otherwise." Behind the falling water, unseen eyes studied him. Men didn't usually turn away. They laughed or stared or demanded payment for silence. This one didn't. The woman shifted, the sound of wet stone and careful movement echoing behind the veil. "You follow stolen horses," she said. It wasn't a question. Jake frowned. "Seems my reputation's ahead of me." "My people watch the land," she replied. "Even when you think no one is watching." A pause stretched between them, heavy as the mist. Then she spoke her name, Nia. The way she said it carried weight. Identity, lineage, survival. Jake nodded, though she couldn't see it. "Jake Calder." Thunder rolled far off, low and warning. The air felt charged, as if the canyon itself were listening. "You came here by more than chance," Nia continued. "The men you track are not just thieves. They poison the land, break promises, and kill those who stand in their way." Jake felt a chill that had nothing to do with water. The names she didn't say lined up too well with the trail he'd been following. "I don't choose sides lightly," he said. "You already did," she answered softly. The waterfall roared between them, hiding her face, her body, her vulnerability, but not her strength. Jake stood there, back turned, realizing that whatever brought him into this canyon had just changed the course of his trail forever. Night settled quickly in the canyon, turning the red stone walls deep purple as the fire crackled low between them. Nia sat across from Jake, wrapped in a woven blanket, patterned with symbols he didn't recognize but somehow understood were not decoration alone. The waterfall behind them glimmered under the moon, its constant roar wrapping their conversation in secrecy. Jake kept his movements slow and respectful, aware that every choice he made here carried weight far beyond himself. "You could have left," Nia said, her voice calm now, the earlier tremor gone. "Most men would." Jake poked the fire with a stick, sparks lifting into the dark. "Most men don't like unanswered questions." She watched him closely, eyes sharp, measuring. "The traders you follow came through our lands 2 nights ago. They offered coin for silence, then took what they wanted anyway. Horses, food, one of our young men tried to stop. Them." Her jaw tightened. "They left him bleeding in the dust." Jake's grip on the stick hardened. He had heard stories like this before, usually told too late and without names. "That trail I'm on," he said slowly. "It's starting to stink worse than horse theft." Nia nodded. "They plan to return at dawn. Not for trade, but to claim the water. This place is sacred. Without it, our people scatter." The fire popped loudly, breaking the silence. Jake glanced toward the canyon rim, suddenly aware of how exposed the clearing was. "How many are they?" "Enough," she answered. "Too many for my people alone." A coyote cried somewhere far off, the sound long and aching. Jake felt the old pull of choice settle in his chest. The kind that never came with clean outcomes. "I don't work for free," he said, then paused. "But I don't work for men like that either." Nia's gaze softened just a fraction. "You turned your back when you didn't have to. That tells me who you are more than your words." She stood and walked to the edge of the firelight, looking toward the waterfall. Moonlight traced the line of her shoulders, the strength in her posture clear even beneath the blanket. "If you help us," she said, "you make enemies who don't forget. They will hunt you, Jake rose to his feet, settling his hat back onto his head. Been hunted before. She faced him again, and for a moment neither spoke. There was no touch. No need for it. Only a shared understanding forged in danger and respect. The men Jake had been tracking were no longer just a job. They were a threat, and Nia had trusted him with that truth. From high above, a loose stone clicked against the rock. Both of them heard it. Jake's hand drifted toward his rifle as Nia's eyes narrowed. The night around them suddenly alive with unseen movement. The first gunshot cracked through the canyon like a split bone, echoing off the stone walls and sending birds screaming into the night. Jake reacted without thought, grabbing Nia's arm and pulling her toward the waterfall as bullets chewed into the ground where they had been standing. The fire died in a hiss of scattered embers, plunging the clearing into chaos and shadow. "Behind the water!" Nia shouted, already moving. "Now!" They plunged through the falling curtain, the force of it stealing Jake's breath as cold slammed into his chest. The roar swallowed every other sound, turning the world into shaking stone and white noise. Nia led him sideways, fingers finding a narrow seam in the rock that Jake would never have noticed. They pressed into it just as more shots rang out, sparks flashing where lead struck wet stone. The passage behind the waterfall was tight and uneven, forcing them close as they moved deeper into darkness. Jake could feel the tremor in Nia's breath, steady but fast, and the controlled urgency in her steps. This was no panicked flight. This was knowledge passed down, survival carved into memory. "They know this place," Jake muttered. "They know the water," she replied, "not the paths." A shouted order echoed faintly through the water, distorted and angry. Jake checked his rifle by touch, every sense sharpened. "If they flank us—" "They won't," Nia said. "The canyon bends. Sound lies here." The passage opened suddenly, spilling them out into a hidden ravine washed in moonlight. The waterfall's thunder faded to a distant growl, replaced by wind whispering through mesquite and stone. Jake crouched, scanning the ridgeline, while Nia knelt and pressed her palm to the ground, listening. "They will search the fire first," she said. "Then they will argue." Jake almost smiled. Men like that always do. They move fast, keeping low, following a path that looked like nothing more than broken rock. The desert opened before them, vast and red under the coming dawn. Jake felt the shift inside him, the moment when a man stops reacting and starts choosing. "This doesn't end tonight," he said quietly. "No," Nia agreed. "It begins." They reached a high overlook just as light bled into the sky. Far below, figures moved near the abandoned campsite, small and angry. Jake watched them, jaw set, already mapping routes, distances, possibilities. Nia stood beside him, the wind lifting her hair, her expression calm and unbroken. "You could still walk away," she said. Jake shook his head. "Not anymore." She met his eyes, respect clear, something stronger beneath it. The water, the land, the people, none of it felt distant now. As the sun rose over the canyon, Jake understood that the trail he'd been following had led him exactly where he was meant to stand, on the edge of a fight that would decide, far more than stolen horses. Dawn burned its way over the canyon, turning shadow into sharp lines and revealing every place a man could hide or die. Jake lay flat against the rock, rifle steady, eyes fixed on the camp below, where the traders argued among themselves, their voices carrying thin and angry in the morning air. He counted them twice, then a third time. Too many for luck. Enough for planning. Nia crouched beside him, already preparing. She moved with quiet certainty, tying her hair back, checking a small bundle of obsidian-tipped arrows wrapped in cloth. "They believe we fled in fear," she said. "That will make them careless." Jake nodded. "Careless men make mistakes." They split without another word. Jake circled wide, boots finding stone instead of sand, using the rising sun to blind the camp. When he fired the first shot, it wasn't meant to kill. It shattered a rifle stock, sending splinters and panic through the group. Shots exploded. Men scattered. Horses screamed. From the opposite ridge came a sudden sharp cry, the call of a hawk. Nia's signal. An arrow struck, precise and terrifying, pinning a man's sleeve to a post. Another sliced a powder horn, spilling its contents into the dirt. Fear spread faster than blood. These men had expected victims, not resistance woven into the land itself. Jake moved downhill fast, firing only when needed, forcing them back toward the narrow canyon mouth where movement was limited and escape worse. One of the traders lunged for him, knife flashing. Jake knocked him aside with the rifle butt, the man collapsing in the dust, fight gone from his eyes. "Enough!" someone shouted. "We're leaving." Jake stepped into view, dust-coated, gun raised but steady. "You leave the horses. You leave the water. And you don't come back." For a long moment, no one moved. Then the leader nodded, jaw tight with humiliation. They retreated, stumbling, dragging wounded pride and broken plans behind them. When silence returned, it felt almost unreal. Naya approached, the canyon calm once more, as if it had been holding its breath. "You fought for land that is not yours," she said. Jake lowered his rifle. Didn't feel that way. She studied him, then placed a hand over her heart in a gesture older than words. "You will be remembered." He felt the weight of that more than any reward. As the sun climbed higher, lighting the waterfall in gold, Jake knew he would ride on soon, because men like him always did. But this place, this moment, would stay with him. And somewhere between falling water and rising light, a bond had been forged, not of possession or promise, but of respect strong enough to change the course of a man's trail forever.